Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 10, 2021 meeting of the Albany County Legislature. My name is Andrew Joyce, and I serve as chair of the Albany County Legislature. In accordance with the guidance provided by the governor, our own county executive, and the commissioner of health, we are managing this meeting virtually. Before each meeting of the full legislature, our rules call for a period of public comment. Speakers tonight are going to be allowed 2 minutes each. At this point, we'd ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Beston. Beston.
On his way.
Brewski.
Here.
Burdorf.
Present.
Chapman. Here. Clay. Cleary.
Here.
Camiso.
Here.
Cunningham. Demolowitz.
Here.
Drake.
Here.
Efacoro.
Here.
Ethier.
Here.
Feeney.
Here.
Fine.
Here.
Grimm.
Here.
Andrew Joyce.
Here.
Ray Joyce.
Here.
Kuhn.
Here.
Lakakis.
Here.
Lockhart.
Here.
Murriello.
Here.
Mayo.
Here.
McLaughlin. McLean Lane. Miller.
Present.
O'Brien.
Here.
Purley.
Here.
Peter.
Here.
Pulaski. Reedy.
Here.
Reinhardt.
Here.
Ricard.
Present.
Simpson.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Tunney.
Here.
Ward.
Here.
Whalen.
Oh, here, I'm here.
Willingham.
Here. Did you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have 33 present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'd like to remind everyone at this point, if you are not speaking, which we don't speak during the public comment period, but if you're not speaking, please mute your device. Give you a moment to do so for those of you who can still hear. Mr. Beston, did you join?
Yes, yes, I was waiting for you to
Gotcha.
finish. I was going to let, thank you.
Mr. Clay, do we have you?
Yes, you do.
Okay, is there anyone else that just joined during the roll call? Ms. McLaughlin? Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes,
Okay, we've got you.
thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk, first speaker.
Carol Waterman. You're on
You're
mute.
muted.
I'd like to go back and finish the rest of the report.
Carol, you're on mute.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes, we have you now.
Oh, okay. So, last month, I had said that I believe that recreational marijuana being legal is a public health menace. I stand by that. But I want to put that in some context. I've always believed it should be decriminalized and records should be expunged. I'm opposed to recreational marijuana in public spaces. Now, many counties and communities around the country, New Jersey being a major case in point, have been opting out of the legalized recreational marijuana because they have seen the problems around the country where it is legal. I'm very concerned about secondhand effects, and you can laugh when I say this next thing, but I have never inhaled. I expect to be involuntarily inhaling out of doors pretty soon. The one place I won't be is in county parks since 2017. Anyway, there's lots of research showing that inhaling marijuana, including secondhand inhaling, causes many of the same health problems as tobacco, as well as being a comorbidity factor with COVID. Now, as long as we're on the topic of tobacco.
30 seconds, Carol.
Okay, thanks. Big Tobacco has bought parts of marijuana companies and is, of course, trying to buy more. They've had patents for years so that they can produce and sell this. I said last month that wait a few years, you'll see them getting into edibles. Of course, not ones that would attract children. But anyway, I was wrong. Philip Morris is already looking into it. Now, when I buy something, I like to consider what company I'm buying it from. And if they're immoral, I don't buy it.
Carol, that's time.
There's still time to buy gummy bears, everybody. And yes, I will try it. Okay.
Okay. You heard it here first.
Okay, thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Carol. Clerk, next speaker.
Zachary Collins.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
We've got you, Mr. Collins.
All right, good evening. I'm Zach Collins. I'm from the town of Queens, and I'm calling to ask you tonight for your consideration in appointing me as the next legislator for the 37th district.
Hey.
I understand there's 2 resolutions on tonight's agenda about filling the vacancy, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself before the vote was made. I was born in Queens Hollow, born and raised. I went to RCS, graduated in 2007. I went to Siena College, graduated in 2011 with a management degree and a computer science minor. After college, I went back to work for the family business, which is an excavating and trucking company. I'm a 5th-generation farmer. We farm around 400 acres of hay. And how I got into politics, a couple years ago, I joined the RCS Business Association to help promote growth in the town, business growth. And from there, I was approached by multiple people encouraging me to run for the town council position, in which I ran in 2019 and received overwhelming support. I earned the seat. I've been sitting there for 2 years now. I've learned a lot from my time on the town board, and I believe my passion for the town of Queens and my experience that I've learned from the town board, I'm ready to take that to the county level. So I'm really invested into my community. I'm a lifetime Grange member. I'm an associate member of Queens Hollow. My wife lives here. We have 2 kids with a 3rd on the way. And I'm really invested in the community and the betterment of the 37th district. And I look forward to working with all of you at some point in the future for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Next speaker.
Linda Bruno.
Linda? We do not have Linda, but if she joins.
Yes, I have it.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate the time. I'm here to support Zach Collins as the appointee for the county legislature for the 37th district. I can only tell you Zach stated was true. He's a man of his word. He is very committed to the town of Queens. I knew Zach from coming to the business of the Ravenna Queens Selkirk Community Business Association over the past 2 years. He was very committed to small business as well as giving oversight to the larger businesses. He is very aware of all of Queens, from the Queens Hollow area where he lives out in the country to the village of Ravenna, smack in the middle of the town of Queens, all the way through the hamlet of Queens. I can only tell you that he is very invested in the community and would do an excellent. I'm not saying that you're not looking at all sides of this, but would you please give honest consideration to Zach Collins as the person that could lead Queens with the legislature and working with Albany County. Thank you.
That's okay.
Thank you, Linda. Clerk, next speaker.
Dan Baker.
Yes, good evening. On November 3rd, 2020, the Queens voters spoke at the ballot box, overwhelmingly in support of Councilman Zach Collins. During the same election, they equally rejected then Albany County legislator Rick Touche. Over the past week, every member of the current Queens-Town Board has come out publicly in support of Zach Collins for Albany County Legislator and has asked that Albany County Legislature put the people of Queens ahead of county politics by appointing Zach Collins to the vacancy that currently exists in the 37th Albany County Legislative District. Queens is made up of good, hardworking, conservative-minded people who demand honesty, transparency, and results from their elected officials. Zach Collins represents the values, traits, and interests of Queens residents and is in fact an enrolled Conservative Party member. Rick Touche has shown through his past voting record and experience that he does not share the values, traits, and interests for the good of people of the Queens. During Rick Touche's short period on the Albany County Legislature from 2016 to 2019, Rick's voting record speaks for itself. Number one, on June 10th, 2019, Rick Touche voted yes for Local Law C, which have mandated paid sick leave in Albany County. All 10 Republicans and 11 Democrats voted no, defeating the measure 21-17. However, when Supervisor McHugh openly asked Rick Touche at the meeting of the RCS Community Business Association where he stood on the issue, Rick told the group of business owners that he would vote no to the proposed local law, but then broke his word and voted yes. June 4th, 2017, Rick Touche voted yes on a Sweetheart Land Deal, Resolution 508, negotiated between the then Majority Leader and purchaser, who happened to be a former member of the Albany County Legislature majority. The deal passed the legislature by a vote of 21-17.
That's time.
So,
if you have a point,
11 Democrats.
Make it and wrap up.
Just a few examples of where Rick Touche illustrated during his short tenure as county legislator that he does not understand the residents of Queens, nor does he exemplify the character, traits, and values of those he seeks to represent. I fear this is already a done deal and that the majority Democratic caucus of the Albany County Legislature has already made up their minds
time, sir.
and have every intention. But for those of you who may still have an open mind, we implore you to look beyond Democrat and Republican and point the person that the people of Queens overwhelmingly support. Listen to the people of Queens and appoint Zach Collins to the vacancy.
Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Clerk, next speaker.
Brandon Levere.
Yes, Fever. This is Brandon.
Sorry.
Good evening. Thank you for your time, everyone. As you know, my name is Brandon Lefevre. I am a member of the town board of the town of Queens. There is now a vacant seat in the Albany County Legislature for the representatives from Queens. The best choice for county legislator is Zach Collins. I am proud to call Zach not only a colleague, but also a friend. We now serve together on the Queens-Town Board, and we work well together to resolve important issues that face our town. We have voted for a budget that reduced taxes by 9%. We are improving our parks, strengthening needed services and communications with residents. Zach, as he mentioned, is a farmer and a businessman, and he knows the importance of encouraging investment in our town. Zach has been a driving force in helping clean up problem properties that have been abandoned or neglected. Our town is looking better thanks to the work by Zach and others. When I was running for office in 2019, I spent a lot of time on the campaign trail with Zach. He is extremely optimistic, energetic, honest, and focused. Zach knows Queens inside and out, and our residents like and trust Zach. The Collins family has served our community in public office for generations and is part of our heritage. Members of the Queens-Town Board support Zach Collins for selection as our next county legislator. I believe that the residents of our community would overwhelmingly support Zach. The decision on who should be the next representative of Queens in the county legislature should be made by Queens, not by Albany politicians. We vote for Zach. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lefevre. Is there anyone else in this Zoom meeting that wishes to speak tonight?
Andrew, I don't, but I want to get a clarification on something. I was on mute.
Mr. Ethier, we've been down this road before.
Oh, no, just a clarification. That's all. No question.
Do you
The
require
previous
clarification from us or from one of the members of the public?
Well, from you, because you were listening to it, probably from you was probably better.
Yes, sir.
I
What do
was
you got?
wondering, the previous speaker, and he was mentioning people that were supportive of that person. Did he mention the Democratic Committee? I was on mute. I didn't catch that.
You know what, Mr. Ethier? He did not.
Okay, thank you.
Does that clarify?
Yeah, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, are there any other speakers in this room that want to speak on anything tonight? Hearing none, the public forum is now closed. Before we proceed with our meeting tonight, as you all know, we began the Beyond the Call Award to recognize people across Albany County that have stood up and responded to the COVID-19 pandemic. We've recognized a ton of, quite frankly, heroic individuals who did some amazing things across our county to respond to the pandemic and help everyone see their way through it. And tonight is my pleasure, before we start our meeting, to recognize Albany County Legislator Vicki Platsky, to recognize an individual from her community who truly went beyond the call for the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you, Chair Joyce. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce to you Deb Engel. Some towns have employees that truly make life better for their residents, and New Scotland is incredibly fortunate to have Deb Engel as our Senior Outreach Coordinator. Since I met Deb a few years ago, she struck me as a powerhouse. She's someone who works incredibly hard for our seniors. She thinks of everything they could need and goes and gets it done. So even before COVID, she would help them get HEAP assistance, SNAP assistance, help with Medicaid applications, help deal with National Grid. She even helped get quotes and funding for home repairs for seniors. After COVID started, she went into overdrive. Thanks to her, I really believe that we have seniors alive today who wouldn't be because of her. She's gotten people PPE, she's gotten them food. She organized volunteers to check in on seniors. She checks in on the most vulnerable ones every month. She's delivered countless boxes of water, PPE, and food, even cookies to seniors in our neighborhood, including countless trips to the senior apartments in Faribush. She has become the center of the hub of connections that truly help improve lives around us. I think most remarkably, do you remember when it was so difficult to get vaccine appointments and we were on like 3 different websites and 2 different phone calls all at the same time?
I'm right next to my computer now.
Deb made a list of
Thank you.
over 600 seniors and got them vaccines. So she's really worked incredibly hard. We are very fortunate to have her taking care of the seniors in New Scotland. And I just can't thank you enough, Deb. So this was a small gesture of appreciation to you, is giving you this, the Beyond the Call COVID Recognition Award. So thank you very much, Deb.
Thank you, Vicki, so much. Of course, I couldn't have done this without people like you to help me make the connections, and I'm touched. You know, I love the community out here. I like working with the seniors, and you guys have made this, you know, just a great experience. I've been out here about 2 years now, and I'm still learning every day. But thank you for your role model, and thank you for your support.
Well, thanks for everything you do. I know they couldn't make it without you, and you just work so hard, and just want you to know you're very well appreciated.
Thank you, Vicki.
Thank you, Deb.
It means the world to me.
You probably didn't picture yourself being a hero 2 years ago, but you stepped in where the need was most needed. And any resource you need, any help you need, we'll be there for you. So much appreciated for going beyond the call.
I really appreciate that so much, Andrew. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, folks. At this point, we'll call our May meeting to order. Because we missed her so
Thanks
much.
for joining us, Deb.
She did.
Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
you.
Congratulations, Deb.
Thank
Deb,
you
so much.
Deb, I wanted
Thank
to
you.
offer my congratulations as well. Congratulations.
Thanks, Carolyn. That makes a big deal. Thank you.
This is your Albany County Clerk, Bruce Headley. Congratulations, Deb.
Thank you, Bruce, very much. Have a great day, you guys, and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, Deb. Good night.
Good night.
Okay. We'll now call our May meeting to order. Because we missed her so much, we'd like to ask Albany County Legislator Norma Chapman to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the
of
flag
the
United States of
America,
And
and
to
to
the
the
republic
republic
for which it stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
Welcome back, Ms. Chapman. You haven't missed a beat.
Thank you.
At this point, we'd like to ask the clerk to call the roll. Clerk, you're muted.
Justin. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We've got him.
Brewski,
Here.
Bergdorf,
Here.
Chapman,
Here,
Clay,
Here.
Clary,
Here.
Camiso,
Here.
Cunningham, Demalowitz,
Here.
Drake.
Here.
Afakoro,
Here.
Athier,
Mr. Ethier, you're muted. *6 if you're on your phone.
Feeney,
Here.
Fine,
Here.
Grimm,
Here.
Andrew Joyce,
Here.
Ray Joyce,
Here.
Kuhn,
Here.
Bakakis,
right here.
Lockhart,
Here.
Muriello,
Here.
Mayo,
Here.
McLaughlin,
Here.
McLean Lane, Miller,
Present.
O'Brien,
Here.
Purley,
Here.
Peter,
Here.
Plosky,
Present.
Reedy,
Here.
Downstairs.
Reinhardt,
Here.
Ricard,
Present.
Simpson,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Tunney,
Here.
Ward,
Here.
Whalen,
Outside.
Here, I'm here.
Willingham.
Here.
I have 36 present.
Nicole,
here.
I don't think you got me, Bob Eston.
I did.
I'm
Did you give
sorry.
me Nicole? Gilly's here.
I got you, Gil.
Thank you.
Is Allison here? 36 present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. At this point, I'd like to take note of additional sponsors with the clerk. And before we move on to previous business, I'd like to entertain a motion that we take item 166 out of order.
Motion, Mr.
Motion by
Chairman.
Mr. Ward, seconded by Mr. Peter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimous. Mr. Feeney.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Joyce. I'm very proud to sponsor this resolution to ask that the legislature consider Rick Touchette to fill the vacancy in the 37th Legislative District due to the resignation of George Langdon. Mr. Touchette served in the legislature for the previous term, served with integrity, with honesty, and was the impetus behind the Albany County Clean Air Act that unfortunately couldn't get done during his term, but was passed early on in the next term. I think he'd be a really good representative for the town of Clemens in that area, and I ask that everybody support him filling the seat. Thank you.
Mr. Feeney. Before we proceed, I'd like to ask the clerk to read Resolution 166.
Appointing a county legislator to represent the 37th Legislative District.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Moriello.
I'd like to be recognized. I'd like to amend this resolution substituting the name of Zachary Collins for Richard Touchette. I think the voters back in November of 2019 made their voices heard when they chose not to re-elect Mr. Touchette. So therefore, listening to our speakers this evening, I would like to place in consideration for filling the vacancy of the 37th District, Zachary Collins of Queens. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moriello. For those of you, a quick recap. Mr. Moriello introduced the resolution 166 appointing Mr. Touchette. 167. And Mr. Moriello has requested that we amend to appoint Mr. Collins. on this amendment. So we're going to have a long roll call on Mr. Moriello's amendment.
I didn't hear a second.
Yeah, you gotta get a second.
Second.
Second. Seconded by Mr. Grimm. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Are we doing a long roll call?
Doing a long roll call.
We are.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question first?
Mr. Ethier.
Yes, if this gets defeated, does that make Mr. Duchette automatically?
No, we need to vote on 166.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
We're voting on the amendment now. Again, the amendment would appoint Mr. Collins.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
for clarification, a yes vote would be to appoint Mr. Collins. A no
Correct.
vote would be not to, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
No.
Chairman, I have a question.
Ms. McLaughlin.
I just want some clarification. The name that Mr. Feeney put forward is the original name that Mr. Moriello had put forth?
No, Mr. Moriello wanted to amend 166 to appoint Mr. Collins to the vacant seat. Mr. Feeney wants to appoint Mr. Touche to the vacant seat. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do a long roll call on 166 on Mr. Moriello's amendment. Mr. Moriello's amendment would appoint Mr. Collins. So if you agree to appoint Mr. Collins, you vote yes. If you don't want to appoint Mr. Collins, you vote no.
Okay, thank you.
And we will move on to the original resolution, which appoints Mr. Touche to the seat.
Mm-hmm.
Are we all clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Madam Clerk,
Very good, very good.
Wait a minute, I'm not clear, Andrew. 1 second, Andrew, please. Is Mr. Collins a Republican?
He is.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I believe Mr. Collins is a conservative.
Oh,
Oh,
he's not a Democrat.
Bruce, yet.
okay, long roll call, Madam Clerk. On Mr.
Aston.
Moriello's amendment.
No.
Brewski,
Oh.
Bergdorf,
Yes.
Chapman,
No.
Clay,
No.
Clary,
No.
Camiso,
No.
Demolowitz,
No.
Drake,
Yes.
Efacoro,
No.
Ethier,
No.
Feeney,
No.
Fine,
No.
Grimm,
Yes.
Andrew Joyce,
No.
Ray Joyce,
No.
Kuhn,
No.
Lakakis,
No.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Muriello,
Yes.
Mayo,
No.
McLaughlin,
No.
Miller,
No.
O'Brien,
No.
Purley,
Yes.
Peter.
No.
Pulaski,
No.
Reedy,
No.
Reinhardt,
Nope.
Ricard,
Nay.
Simpson,
No.
Smith,
Yes.
Tunney,
Yes.
Ward,
No.
Whalen,
Yes.
Willingham,
No.
$27 yes. 27 no, 9 yes.
Mr. Moriello's amendment fails. Okay, on resolution 166, as introduced by Majority Leader Dennis Feeney, long roll call, please.
167. Feston,
Yes.
Brewski,
Sorry, one quick one. This is 166 that we're now voting on, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yes.
Do we need a second for that, Mr. Chairman, or not?
No.
Do
We had a second.
We have a second? Okay, sorry.
Bergdorf,
No.
Chapman,
Yes.
Clay, Clay,
He said, hold on.
Undecided. We'll get back to Mr. Clay.
Yeah.
Clary,
Yes.
Demiso,
Yes.
Oh, God.
Demalowitz,
Yes.
Drake,
No.
Efacoro,
Yes.
Ethier.
I have a question first, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Was
Mr. Ethier.
Mr. Touchette, was he endorsed by the committee people in that district?
He was.
Democratic committee people? He was?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I vote yes.
Feeney,
Yes.
Fine,
Yes.
Grimm,
No.
Andrew Joyce,
Yes.
Ray Joyce,
Yes.
Coon,
Yes.
Lakakis,
Yes.
Lockhart,
No.
Muriello,
No.
Mayo,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Miller,
Sorry, yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Purley,
No.
Peter,
Yes.
Flosky,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yes.
Reinhardt,
Yes.
Ricard.
Yay.
Can you say that again?
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Tunny,
No.
Ward,
Yes.
Whalen,
No, no,
Ham, Willingham,
yes.
At this point, while the clerk tabulates everything, I'd like to ask you, if you're not speaking, please go on mute. Mr. Smith? Thank you.
Hello?
Mr. Camiso,
Yes.
you said
What's
hello.
your question?
I have no question. You just said hello, so I'm acknowledging
No,
you.
I thought you were asking.
what about Clay? Bill,
Yes, I said yes.
I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry.
I have 28 yes, 8 no.
The resolution 166, as introduced by Majority Leader Jansini, passes 26 to 8.
28 yes, 8 no.
28 yes, 8 no. Congratulations, Mr. Touchette. I believe we have our esteemed county clerk on the Zoom tonight.
I am here, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Hidley, are you prepared to give the oath to Mr. Touche?
I so am, sir.
Mr. Touche, are you ready to come back to the Albany County Legislature?
I am, thank you.
Are you sure?
It's a lot different. Absolutely.
Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, Mr. Clerk, ready when you are.
Okay. Rick, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand and place your left hand on the Bible if you have one at your home.
We can do this remotely now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what the,
Folks, please mute if you're not speaking.
I'm going to say aye, and after I say aye, you're going to repeat your name. I
I, Richard Norman Touche,
do solemnly promise and swear
do solemnly promise and swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of
the duties of
Albany County Legislator for the 37th Legislative District
Albany County Legislator for the 37th Legislative District,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, Albany County Legislator Rick Touche.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Mr. Touche.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you very much for bringing me on board for this very special occasion this evening. I thank all the Albany County legislators and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Thank you for making yourself available, Bruce. We appreciate it.
No problem, anytime.
Okay, Madam Clerk, first item under previous business, please.
Amending the rules and regulations for Albany County employees to recognize Juneteenth as a county holiday.
Mr. Clay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sure everyone is familiar with Juneteenth, the purpose of it. And we think it's fitting that the county legislature and indeed the county of Albany recognize that day. For it means so much to Black people throughout this nation. Juneteenth was when Black people were granted their freedom and from slavery. And so I certainly would appreciate a unanimous vote for Juneteenth in support of Juneteenth. And I thank all of you for your support. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Clay. All those in favor of Resolution 54?
Mr. Chairman, would you add Gary to that?
We've got you, Mr. Demalowitz.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, would you add me as a sponsor as well, please?
Got you, Mr. Touche.
Ray Joyce. You have me there too, Andrew?
Is there anybody on this Zoom meeting that does not want to be added as a sponsor? Okay, all present are going to be added as a co-sponsor to Resolution 54.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members of the legislature.
All those in favor of Resolution 54?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 54 passes unanimous. Resolution 130, please.
Establishing a policy and eligibility requirement for the 2021 legislative grant program.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 130 passes unanimous. Resolution 131, please.
Establishing a living wage for employees of the County of Albany and amending the 2021 Albany County budget.
Ms. Lakakis. Before you start, I'd like to remind everyone, if you are not speaking, please show respect for your colleagues and mute your device. We don't want any interference. We'll get to everybody. Ms. Lakakis?
Hi, I would like to propose an amendment to Resolution 131. We received this afternoon a letter from the executive branch attorney, and it was in order to ameliorate or assuage the concerns that were raised in the meeting. We would like to propose this amendment, which is to add some, remove 3 words at the 8th whereas, and then create a 9th whereas as follows. I don't know if the clerk has to read that or if I can.
I don't have that.
Whereas the Albany County Legislature is supportive of efforts to make the living wage of $15 per hour a reality for the county workforce and encourages the county executive and director of employee relations to work towards this goal. Now, therefore, be it and delete the first resolved.
Okay, anything else, Ms. Lakakis?
No, not on the amendment, no.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to speak on the amendment.
Mr. Demalowitz?
Thank you. I received a letter and talked to the county executive this afternoon, and with Lynn's amendment, it really it takes care of the concerns as far as the way that it's currently drafted, so it doesn't violate the county charter or the New York State Taylor law. So I think as by giving the county executive the opportunity to negotiate, that'll make a big difference in the resolution being more legal, and we won't have any legal problems with it. And I will be supporting it. Thank you.
Mr. Demalowitz, are you seconding Ms. Lakakis' motion to amend?
I'd like to second it.
Yes.
Seconded by Mr. Demolis and Mr. Cleary. All those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we'll now do a long roll call on resolution.
Mr. Chairman,
Lynn, did you want to speak on resolution 131?
I would briefly, if I may.
Okay. So just for those of you keeping track, resolution 131, the amendment passed, and we will vote long roll call as amended on 131 after those of you who want to speak get a chance to speak. Ms. Lakakis, it's all yours.
I would like to, first of all, thank all of my peers for the conversations that we had during our committee meetings where, and I think we've addressed all the issues that most people had. You know, this is an amendment that this is a proposal that is really going to bring 62 people in the county up to a living wage. And I believe that that's something that we ought to have been doing quite some time ago. And I am delighted that we're having the opportunity to do it here today. And, you know, there are consequences and we are looking forward to them. And, you know, this is a women's issue and a minority issue because these are the people who are usually at this end of the pay scale. And I think it's our responsibility to make sure that everyone has a living wage. I think that, it passed out of committee, both committees that it was in favorably. And I think that shows the support that it has. And I ask you please to vote yes on this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lakakis. Great work. Mr. Bergdorf.
I would yield to Mr. Moriello.
I muted him by accident. Tell me.
Mr. Chairman,
We've got you, Mr. Moriello.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to just begin the discussion a little bit here. I'm not quite sure I understand the amendment. So the original resolution was to mandate a $15 an hour wage. And what exactly is this amendment doing? Ms. Lakakis? You're muted.
I'm confused. I thought we would pass the amendment.
Well, I'm not quite sure what this amendment is saying. Are we, the original resolution?
Mr. Moriello?
Yes.
Mr. Moriello, so in essence, what we're doing with this amendment is we are saying that these employees that we're targeting with this, the standard is $15 an hour. And we're asking the county executive to implement. And as Mr. Demolis has stated, you know, there have been conversations, and as with everything else, we're going to work very closely with the county executive as we implement anything, including this. So this is a standard that we're setting for Albany County employees, and we're going to work alongside the county executive in his office to implement over the course of this next year and through this pandemic to show these frontline workers that we appreciate them.
Okay, a couple of things I'll just bring up quickly then. Two issues. Number one is wage compression. So we need to work with the county executive on that, because as it is now, if we raise our employees, our entry-level employees to $15 an hour, just so everybody else knows, our EMTs right now make $15.44 an hour. EMTs are skilled employees, they're certified, and they'd only be making 44 cents an hour more than an entry-level employee. So I think that's something we need to take into consideration. And I was looking at Mr. Riley's letter that he sent to everyone this afternoon, looking at the fiscal impact of wage compression, which is a substantial amount of money, $1,355,000. So we really need to have a true fiscal impact statement, I believe, that should be submitted with this. In order for me to vote for this, I'd really need to see the implications. We need to be looking at the whole picture, and I think that's important that we have that fiscal impact statement. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Moriello. Mr. Bergdorf?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did not have the benefit of having a conversation with the county executive this afternoon, although I did get Mr. Riley's letter at 1 o'clock, and I spoke with him at 5:30, and he told me that is what he was hearing up his chain of command is there are still very significant concerns about this proposal. And I don't begrudge anybody a $15 an hour wage. I am really questioning the way this bill was drafted and the way to get there. I don't think we should, it's very clear that this resolution would violate the Taylor law. It's unenforceable due to the charter. We, the legislature, should not get into cherry picking certain union jobs, because union contracts are negotiated line by line, taking into consideration what the impact is of the various people in the same titles and various people in the other titles. Now, Frank used the example that I'd heard about, and I can't imagine that someone who puts potatoes on a plate at the nursing home is going to make 44 cents an hour less than a skilled EMT. But that wage compression goes throughout our county structure. There are 158 employees making between $15 and $17 an hour, and you can't just cherry pick 62 appointees and give them a raise. It's not fair to everyone who has participated in the collective bargaining agreement. Now, the ones at the nursing homes expire in 2023. There are 15 collective bargaining agreements up this year. The salary compression we talked a little bit about. The memo from Mr. Riley says if we were to deal with everyone between $15 and $20 an hour, it would cost about $1.4 million, and that does not include increased retirement costs. It does include Social Security benefits, and there's only $2 million available for increases to salary under the salary cap. So there wouldn't be enough money for all the employees of Albany County. So I think there are some major issues here. Also, the fiscal impact statement that was delivered with this. I don't know if anyone had any conversations with the director of the budget, but he's talking about just those 62 positions annualized would be over $150,000 plus retirement increases. So, I think we've got to give some more attention to our fiscal impact statements. And this is why when I said in committee, I don't oppose the goal, but I oppose the process, because we would bring forth a number of unintended consequences. Do you realize that with some of these titles, CNAs and food service helpers, if some of these people in the lines that you chose went to $15 an hour, they would be working next to someone in the same title who may have been working for the county for 8 years and gotten 2% increases and might only be making $16 an hour. So you would create, rampant morale problems. So I think for those reasons, and I don't think we should be getting involved in Taylor law issues, and we need to steer clear of the charter, I am going to be voting no. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bergdorf. Mr. Brusky.
I think we can all agree on a simple principle that if you work, you should not be poor. And with this resolution here, is it saying very loud and clear, if you work, you shouldn't be poor. I don't think it matters what someone else negotiated. If you work, you shouldn't be poor. It doesn't matter what the union over here is saying. If you work, you shouldn't be poor. It doesn't matter if you're putting food on a tray or if you're doing highly skilled work. If you work, you shouldn't be poor. And, process has held back progress so many ways. It's held it back, I think, here for too long. And it's time to recognize that process arguments are not always neutral, that on some level, if we're not working towards that kind of solution, all it is a way to validate a reason for not doing something. I'll say that there's been a lot of, I think, work by rather highly compensated people trying to convince less well-compensated people that even less well-compensated people are not worthy of that kind of wage. We say that, you know, their jobs are not worthy. They're not doing things that we conventionally see as being productive, and therefore we shouldn't pay them a wage that lets them not be poor. I think it's human decency that is at play here. I think it's the actual dignity of work. And $15 an hour, and my friends, is not that much. And I hope that the $15 an hour echoes through the wages, that since the mid 70s, we've seen productivity go up almost 200% and wages go up just 8%. I think it'd be a blessing if all the things that we have talked about as the possible bad outcomes here, it'd be a blessing if those things all came to pass. And so I will be voting for this. I'll be voting for the right that if you work, you should not be poor.
Thank you, Mr. Bruschi. Mr. Peter?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to sort of echo what my colleague, Mr. Bruschi, said. We're establishing that if you work, you have a living wage is the floor. The ceiling can be negotiated. The ceiling can be established. But if we're always saying that we're not going to raise the floor because we're too worried about people who have higher wages, then we're constantly going towards the lowest common denominator. Mr. Bruschi said it right. Inflation has gone up numerous times while wages have been stagnant. And it's always somehow arguing that individuals who work a full-time job or even a part-time job somehow deserve not to be paid what it should be worth, what they are worth. So I'm obviously going to be voting for this. I want to thank Ms. Lakakis for all her work, but there must be a dignity in a minimum standard of living. When you put in an honest day's work, you shouldn't be having to scrounge around for your living. And we must establish a fair floor. And then we can go about establishing where else everyone else should be. And with the amendment, we're not violating the Taylor law, and we're giving the county executive the necessary steps to make sure that our wages are adjusted properly so that our workforce is properly compensated for the dignity of the work they do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Peter. Mr. Drake?
Thank you. I echo some of the sentiments earlier about the process and the Taylor law, and also, you know, the wage compression concerns. And I think we talked about this in committee. I guess, you know, when I hear the arguments on this, it takes a tenor of a lot of things have lately. And I suppose I feel like I have to say something. I don't think anyone disagrees that everyone wants to do the best they can for themselves and their family, but everyone doesn't necessarily take the same role in their family, albeit also they don't take the same role in the workforce. So when we use terms like shouldn't and should and deserve and dignity and have a right, how do we establish what those benchmarks are? Is $2 an hour something that gives dignity? Or is $10 an hour extra something that gives dignity? How about 30? Or do we need to be, you know, the leader of Facebook? You know, I don't know what dignity is, but I also don't think money is what buys dignity. And I think, you know, to pepper the process with these kinds of adjectives and emotional review, I think, you know, Mr. Bruschi said, if you go to work, you shouldn't be poor. That word shouldn't. I don't understand how that anybody looking at the globe could say that that's a reasonable statement to make. There are plenty of working people who aren't making ends meet, and that's going to happen no matter where you are. If you live in Manhattan and you make $15 an hour, do you think that you're outside of poverty? We have to think about how we present these things. This is really, when it comes down to it, meddling in some things that the legislature has no business being involved in. That's just my personal opinion. As much as I want to see people make as much money as they can. But to determine what poverty is, defining it as whether you make $15 an hour or $13 an hour, it doesn't seem reasonable to me. And I don't think we have the data to do that. And I don't think we have the consensus to do that. So I think we need to be careful about how we throw around these adjectives and these thresholds. I got to tell you, there's plenty of people out there working 70 hours a week as farmers who would not consider themselves anywhere much above poverty, if at all. I don't think that's really what we're here to do. I think what we're here to do is establish what does the market bear and what is somebody's productivity warrant or ingenuity warrant. We still live in a meritocracy, at least for a couple more years, I assume. And I don't understand where we basically have come to equate work with wealth. At the end of the day, you don't necessarily become wealthy by working. And I think there's billions of people can be an example of that. Okay. We're not wealthy by going to work. We do the best we can every day. And I think it's very important that we recognize if we're going to start throwing around the term dignity and defining dignity as $15 an hour, I think the example used earlier about people out there saving lives, or nurses out there, or for example, CNAs who are out there, sponge bathing elderly relatives or the sick, what's their dignity worth? When you think about this, the reason that people are poor is not because of what necessarily a threshold for minimum wage might be outside of what the state has set, because the state does set that, that level. What makes people poor is their relative ability to obtain goods and services based on the income that they receive. And when you create wage compression, what happens is you also create a situation where the $15 an hour buys even less than it did before. So these things do matter. And, I disagree wholeheartedly with Mr. Brucey. The process, the rule of law, those things matter. They exist because without them, we don't have civilization. And that's how we get through these things. So we can't just throw out the baby with the bathwater to achieve a means. Do we want everybody to make as much money as they can and pay their bills? Absolutely, we do. And because of that, that's why we have so many social programs out there. And it's a laudable goal. But we can't just toss out the process in doing so. And I think we need to redefine how we characterize some of these things and couch them in emotion and adjectives that really aren't appropriate to a fiscal discussion. Thanks for hearing me out.
Thank you, Mr. Drake. Ms. McLaughlin.
Andrew,
Mr. Ethier.
I'd like to say something.
I got you in line here, Mr. Ethier. We're gonna let Ms. McLaughlin go, okay?
Oh, it's fine, as long as I
You're
know
next.
you can't see me. I just want to know, that's all.
I got you. Thank you, Mr. Ethier. Ms.
All right, thank
McLaughlin.
you.
Thank you. I've heard a number of things in the last 5 minutes that really give me pause and concern. First of all, I just want to thank Ms. Lakakis for leading the charge on this, along with some of the other strong women on this legislature that felt that it was time to address this issue. Because I do think that, I think that Lynn or someone may have stated some of this in the beginning, because I believe that this is a gender equity issue as well as a racial equity issue. When you look at the folks that we are concerned about receiving equity in the workplace. I don't equate work with wealth. I equate work with a living wage and having the opportunity, access to opportunity for individuals to take care of their families, to raise their children, to educate their children. And this is just one step in making sure that that opportunity is available to everyone. I don't believe that the process is being thrown out, but I believe the amendment that Ms. Lakakis has given to us is the one that allows there to be some adjustment to the process so that we can achieve this goal of $15 an hour. I was really concerned about how you cannot pit one profession against another. And that is not the issue here either. I don't care what job you have. It should be held at a living wage so that you can take care of your families, so that you can live with respect and live with dignity. Yes, because you do go to work every day and provide a service. And I do believe there's some of the jobs that we are concerned about with this particular issue. It's about quality of care. It's about, if you're going to continue to attract people who can provide quality of service to individuals throughout Albany County, you have got to compensate them in a way that continues, that builds up their esteem in the jobs that they're doing so that they can give the best service that they are capable of giving to Albany County. So it's just a matter of, I go to work to make a living. I don't go to work to become wealthy. Because we all know there's only 1% of the people in this country that control the majority of the wealth. So this is about the everyday person. That includes me, you, your family, your children, and your children's children. And that's the way I perceive this. And I am proud to support this. And I do believe that, and I hope that the county executive and others that are at the helm that can make this happen get the message that this is about providing a living wage for all county employees. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, Ms. McLaughlin. Mr. Ethier.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My matter and my concern is what do the taxpayers think, the ones that pay this money to everybody? We got to take them in consideration, how they feel about it. That's the most important thing. They pay the bill. And I believe the vast majority of the county residents wouldn't even think $15 is a fair wage to begin with. And I believe that something higher should be out there someday. Maybe we can't do it now, but $15 is no big hurdle to take. It's ridiculous to begin with. And we should step forward with that, go forward. And as far as the unions worrying about their members being 44 cents higher than the other guy, this gives them a little more incentive to work a little harder in their negotiations for the workers. So with that, I'll be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ethier. Mr. Reedy. You're muted.
Thanks, Chairman. Always hard to follow my friend and colleague, Carolyn. Cannot match that eloquence. I'm a proud co-sponsor of this. Want to again thank Lynn and everyone who put work into this piece of legislation. And I'll just echo what my colleagues have said in support of this, that we're making a statement tonight on what should be the floor that we're considering for employees of the county and establishing a living wage. And I couldn't agree more with my friend Gail that I don't think $15 an hour. I think it should be higher. This conversation on wage compression and the fact that if we were to raise the living wage at $15 an hour, might end up raising the wages of other workers that are making just above that. I think that's a good thing. Through this whole pandemic, I think it's really shown a light on the economic inequalities that we have in both Albany County and our country. As we get out of this pandemic and look to rebuild and reshape our economy, the fact is there are a whole lot of people that we deemed essential workers and heroes this year that are making under $15 an hour or right there. And I think it's incumbent on us to try to establish and raise that floor. With that, very proud to support this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reedy. Mr. Fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Lakakis, for proposing this resolution. I feel very strongly about this. Many of my constituents are people that work minimum wage jobs, whether it's working for the county or at other positions. I think it's people who it's very easy to say negative things about this legislation if you don't understand what people go through who work these positions, who work hours after hours, often working multiple jobs and just barely struggling to get by. I was disturbed by comments by Mr. Drake about saying we shouldn't use the word should in politics or in the legislature. I believe strongly that we should be legislating based on our values. I want to hear the word should be used even more, because I think we should be working to create a more just society. I believe we have an obligation to treat our workers fairly. And, we can debate what that, our determination of the word fair is, but I think that's what we should be doing. We should be legislating based on morality and values, and making sure that we can treat our employees with dignity. I want to hear the word dignity more in politics. So let's pass this legislation and make a real difference for our employees.
Thank you, Mr. Fine. Ms. Willingham.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman. First of all, I want to thank Lynn Lakakis for leading this legislation right here. And I want to thank the rest of the women that came along and joined in with her. We've heard a lot of comments to explain why people need to live the way that they do, or how they should live the way that they should. We always talk about how Albany County leads the way for the rest of the state. Well, it's now time for Albany County to establish some type of economic process that will take our people from poverty to prosperity. One of the things that I heard tonight was talking about the difference between somebody putting a spoon in somebody's mouth as opposed to somebody putting a needle in their arm. There's something wrong with that. If we talked about who's going to keep a building open, if it's one thing, somebody brought up New York City that could shut New York City down, stop paying those people that's picking up the garbage. That can shut New York City down. Not only can it shut New York City down, but can also shut down any city, wherever you live. When you try to define the worth of what somebody's doing by the status of how many certificates they have, or how many letters they have after a title in their name, after their name, you're making a huge mistake. That one thing that sold the nursing home was how people would want to bring their people to the Albany County a nursing home, the Shaker Place, that wonderful, beautiful place where their family could live out the rest of their days in a beautiful atmosphere, in a safe atmosphere, in a clean atmosphere. At the same time, we do know this. We have a hard time keeping CNAs out there because we were not paying them enough money. We have to begin to understand the way in which we decide on what the value of somebody's job is, what the worth of their job is. You were to put up a sign and say, how will this building stay open? I can guarantee you, if you put it between the cleaner and the executive, you would have to choose the cleaner first, because they have to keep the building in a safe and healthy environment. When we talk about $15 an hour, I do hope for Albany County, you do realize that's only $27,300. And so when we talk about somebody's ability to earn enough money to sustain a household, they're complaining right now because they're saying that there's $300 that the feds are giving for unemployment and $300 that the state is giving for unemployment. Well, guess what? When you wonder why people aren't going back to work, most people need 2 jobs to sustain a household. They need more than that $27,300 to sustain their household. I think it's high time that Albany County step out front. If we do not have the process, we are now challenging them to put that process in place, because we want people to make at least $15 an hour and move from there. Do not say that the person who's putting food in somebody's mouth at the nursing home does not rise to importance as far as the EMT. There's something wrong with that. There's something wrong. There's a bias in way in which we treat somebody's value in regards to the position that they hold. And so, as far as I'm concerned, the intended consequence of this legislation is to ensure that we elevate our people to prosperity. We cannot continue if the economic process that we have in place, it appears to be broken, and we need to do something about it. And we have to start somewhere. I applaud my colleagues on this in this body who have risen to talk on this subject right here and agree that we must move forward with at least $15 an hour. So I, for one, am very happy to support this resolution, and I hope that the rest of you will too. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Willingham. Mr. Efekoro.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to applaud Ms. Lekakis for this resolution and everyone else who has spoken in favor of this resolution. But I heard a few members talking about fairness, and I just want to state what is not fair. The poverty rate in Albany County is not fair compared to the poverty rate in Saratoga and all those other surrounding counties around us. What is also not fair is that members of the legislature who sometimes maybe doing the bare minimum are pretty much speaking to vote not to raise the wage for people who are actually mandated to do some work. What is also not fair is that it is not fair that we have to wait, or people or members of the legislature are asking us to wait for some other union negotiation for us to lift people out of poverty. These are county employees. These are people who work in county government. These are not people that should be living in poverty or be living under the poverty rate. These are county employees just like every one of us. They should not have to wait to get a raise to live above the poverty rate. Even $15 an hour is the bare minimum. And what is not fair also is that the decision being made is a decision as to ensuring that our county employees should get a living wage. Is for someone to say that we as legislature cannot vote or have no say on whether people who are working for our county should get a living wage. That is what is not fair. So I am going to be voting in support of this resolution because our residents deserve a living wage, starting with county employees. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Efekoro. Mr. Drake.
I just want to respond very quickly. Following Mr. Efekoro's reference, I'm not sure who he was talking about who does bare minimum. I thought that a personal attack on whomever he was referring to was a bit ridiculous. But if it was after me, there's a few people in this legislature that work 7 days a week, and I'm one of them, Mr. Efekoro. Second, Legislator Willingham suggests something I think is somewhat disturbing, which is that you cannot define the worth of a job by the productivity or by the skill that it requires. I think that's absurd in the face of how all pay scale is determined everywhere across the globe. It is determined by certification, by skill, by ability, by productivity, and society places different values on that. I would suggest that none of us are being paid minimum wage to do this. You know, it's just the way the world is. Now, I just can't, when I hear comments like that, I get where they're coming from and I appreciate they come from the heart, but it's absurd on the face of it to suggest that the President of the United States or, you know, the CEO of Apple should be paid the same as the person that is cleaning the floors. Why? Because society demands different credentials and different levels of ability and productivity. I'm not demeaning anybody. It's just paid differently. Okay. I think it's not realistic that we all make the same wage.
My hand down.
You know, so I think the suggestion that everybody makes the same wage for their efforts is not necessarily a reasonable.
Nobody said that. Nobody said that. He just made that up.
No one is saying that.
Stand by, Mr. Drake.
Yeah,
Folks, if you don't have the floor, please mute.
Well, he isn't making that up. What Ms. Willingham said was that it was absurd to suggest that one person's value in the workplace is different than another. And that doesn't mean that their personal value is less or more, but the workplace in the economy, you know, rewards different things based on skill, value, productivity, certification, education, training, etc. And that's, I just think we're getting beyond that. The last thing I noticed is that, we've talked about lifting out of poverty. And I don't disagree that people need to make more money. We all do with the inflation that's going on. But is $2 an hour or $60 to $80 a week, is that lifting someone out of poverty? I'm not sure that that's the answer. So my objection to the process is that we make these sweeping and gestures suggesting that we're saving the world. We're not. I think we should follow the process. I think it helps. But at the end of the day, this is an executive branch department. So while it is laudable that the legislature wants to help in this matter, I don't think it is our task to do so. So thank you.
Matt?
Mr. Reinhardt?
Thank you. I don't want to repeat what several of my colleagues have already said in support of this bill. I think I would like to just say that this is a small step that the legislature and the county executive working together can do to try to address the incredible problem we have in our society of income inequality, as well as racial and gender bias in the workforce. This is not solving every problem. And so for some of my Republican colleagues, we're not trying to solve the world's problems. We're just trying to make life a little bit better for the people on the bottom of the economic strata in our county. And I just want to say, I am not coming from that economic strata. I have benefited by being a well-educated, highly credentialed white male who has benefited from society in so many ways. I am very, very grateful for all of that. And I am grateful for what I can do for my family and my grandchildren. But to believe that everything that I have acquired is entirely because of my hard work, I can't say that. I have been lucky. Many of us on this call have been very lucky. It's not all based on merit. I would like a system that is based on merit, and in some cases, that is a factor, undoubtedly. But we have to recognize the inequalities in our society, and we have to try to deal with them. I think when you look at labor markets, as we've been trying to discuss on this issue, clearly, from an economist's perspective, we are looking at market failure. The market is not perfect. You only believe if the market is perfect when the market is working for you. I mean, that's what we've seen for the last 30 years. And I just think it's ludicrous to pretend this facade that everyone is paid what they're worth because that's what they're paid, because that's what the market is giving them right now. That's not a valid way to put value on people's lives or their families or the needs of their children, or so many different ways you can look at this. And I think that what we have to recognize is that so many of the problems of our society are based fundamentally on this market failure that is providing an incredibly difficult situation for many in our society. Those who are on the bottom, those who happen to be not white, those who happen to be female, and we have to address it. To pretend that there's this market correction that just automatically solves all these problems is really naive. It's just not there. We have to take a role and we have to take a position on this. So I'm going to be voting yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reinhardt. Ms. Lockhart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just sitting here and listening to all this. And like all my colleagues, I want to see people be able to improve their lot in life and make good money and all that. I don't begrudge anybody that. But I really do have to say that many times we think government's the answer to everything. It's not government that elevates people to prosperity or their self-worth or their prosperity and wealth. People do that themselves. They do that through their family, through their church, through education, probably being the most important part of getting somebody out of poverty. And I just want to, I think that self-determination, you know, you just said something, Mr. Reinhardt, about being white. I'm a white woman. I worked very hard for what I got. Most of my career, I worked 3 jobs. Now I only work 2. So, you know, it's not all, we're not all the same. We don't all come from the same place, but government is not always the answer. And I think sometimes we mistake that and think it is. I'm not saying we can't be part of the solutions. We certainly are with our numerous social services programs that we offer and that I'm very proud that we do to help people to lift them out of poverty. But just putting, I don't know, if it's 15, why not 25? Why not 30? I think we get caught up on this government being the answer all the time. Just wanted to say my 2 cents. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Lockhart. Mr. Bruschi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that there are a lot of, I think, well-intentioned feelings on both sides of this issue, but I think there's also a lot of misinformation and confusion about what a living wage provides. A living wage does not mean that the CEO of a company pays everyone in the company the same amount. I think that we can just disabuse ourselves of that first notion. What we're also seeing is we're seeing a world in which, if we believe in the market and that the market will correct this problem, we're living in a world where the market has not corrected this problem, where people are able to work 3 jobs, work hard, work 7 days a week, and yet remain poor. And that's a problem. It's a problem, especially when those people work for me. If I'm a legislator for this county and I have these employees that are my employees whose welfare I am looking out for, who I want to have a living wage, who can enjoy some time not spent working, to be a real person. And I have it in my power to make the day come when they can have the dignity of a life. You know, they won't be poor though they work. I think it's time for me to bring that to happen now. And I know that it hasn't always been the case. I know that in the past things were different, and that some things are more challenging and some things were less. I think now it's time for us to let's do what's in our power to make things better. And we can't, I think that we can't look back. Some quick thoughts on here. You know, we talk about money can't solve all the world's problems, but when you are in fact poor, the money that you have that can pay for a meal, let alone a healthy meal for your family, you can help make a rent payment or get rid of your credit card debt, has a huge impact. Yeah. Not just on the emotional welfare of these workers, but on the entire community, that they're not being paid these slave wages, where they're unable to break out of a cycle of poverty, even though they do everything in their power to work. They had a study that was done. They were asking the question of what is a life-changing amount of money? What would people estimate that number is? The average answer was $19,800. That was a life-changing amount of money. We have the ability, if people work, to give them a life-changing amount of money, one that will ensure that they keep on working, but that they're going to have that kind of dignity. And I'll kind of close with the thought that the military, I don't think, is seen as being a very lefty place. They give you a gun and a short haircut. And yet we had radical pay transparency. We had gender equality among the wages, and everyone got a living wage from the lowest private to the top general. And the fact that this is such a minor increase, it affects so few people, it really should not be this much of a debate. And I think that if we're so concerned about where does this end, does it end at $20 an hour or whatnot, I think we should all agree on where we start. We should start at 15.
Thank you, Mr. Bruschi. And I'll remind everyone, per our rules, we all have 5 minutes to speak on the floor, and we have a 4-minute rebuttal, and some of us are really butting up against a 3-minute rebuttal, excuse me, council just corrected me. Some of us are butting up against that. A lot of good comments back and forth, but I would ask if you do want to speak, try to keep your comments somewhat short so we can get to this vote.
Could you add me to the list?
We can add you, Mr.
Put me on.
We got you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you.
Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, can I call for the question?
Mr. Ethier, we have a few more people that want to speak. They'll keep their comments
Okay.
brief, but we're getting ready to vote very soon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I can't see all this stuff, so I don't know.
It's a great site, Mr. Ethier. Mr. Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I think we just have to really establish a couple key things, which is that inflation has not kept up with wages since the 1960s, but it has kept up with profits. Profits are more than past inflation, but what you worked in 1965 is not worth what you're working today for the same amount of hours, but we are seeing profits and other things go way up. So when we talk about the dignity of work, it means that at least that if your employer is profiting, if things and other people are profiting, that you should profit along with it, at least to keep up with inflation. When government and the market has obviously not been keeping up, since the government hasn't kept up minimum wage with inflation, the market hasn't caught up in the same way that GE, when they dumped a bunch of stuff in the Hudson River, was not self-correcting. It took government action to do that. So when the market doesn't correct, it is government's job to do that. If you work full time and you're still in poverty and can't afford basic things like healthcare or health emergencies, rent, or improving your situation, it is not a living wage. And government should be leading the way in that floor. Once again, floor. We're saying that there is a floor and a dignity to being able to pay your bills and live responsibly within a given wage. And I'll end it by saying that I'm glad to hear that so many people are for meritocracy, since that means that they must be for the estate tax and making sure that inherited wealth is taxed well and above, because we would hate for people to not earn what they get. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Demolowitz.
I think if you think back, Henry Ford was way ahead of his time. He built a car that the masses could afford, a car that the average family could afford. And I believe that rising tide lifts all ships. I think the more the people earn, the more money that they can spend, it's going to help the economy. Because these people who make $15 an hour aren't reinvesting their money into T-bonds and stocks. They're paying their rent, buying food, and I'll be quick, and helping the economy along. The backbone of this country is middle class, and this is helping the lower middle class to rise up. And I like to say that it'll also make it easier for us to hire more employees. Now I just got to quote something Harold said to me a long time ago. He says, when the Democrats move up the ladder of success, they put their hand out and help the next guy come up to move up with them. And I believe that, and I will be supporting this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Demolowitz. Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, yes, I support the minimum wage. It was a government regulation, but it was put in for a reason, that people wouldn't be exploited, and then we wouldn't have sweatshops, and that people would get a fair wage. The question is, what is a fair wage and how high should that be? And what's troublesome about this legislation is that it really interferes in negotiations between the county executive and the unions and the employees. Certainly the county executive cares about the employees. I mean, there's almost a suggestion here that he hasn't. He negotiated the contracts. They're very intricate, they're very complicated. It has to be balanced with what we can afford as a county and how much we can help our employees. And they negotiated these salaries. Now, are you saying when they negotiated these salaries, they weren't thinking about the employees? Now, here's the thing. This legislature approved all those contracts unanimously. So no one was talking about this when they approved the contracts. So those contracts, this interference, that's what this is. This is interference in negotiations. The county executive negotiates with the unions He brings it to us. Our role is to approve it or disapprove it based on what we think is appropriate. But it's clear in the past that every one of us approved those contracts. Secondly, living wage and minimum wage, they're not the same. The minimum wage was designed to give young people a chance to get their foot in the door because they're youthful and they don't have much experience. So obviously they're going to be paid less. And the overwhelming number of people getting minimum wage are high school and college kids with their first job. That's the data. That's the facts. Overwhelmingly, the living wage and the minimum wage are not the same. And thirdly, we are not voting to raise the minimum wage. We've already done it. The state of New York, and the negotiations obviously were very emotional and contested. They decided we hadn't raised the minimum wage in a while, we're going to raise it. They thought a lot about it. They recognized that New York City's cost of living is very different than upstate. So it's not really sensible to have the same wage for both places, which makes sense. So the state came up with a formula that raised the minimum wage, and we have raised the minimum wage in Albany County up to $12.50. That's a significant increase. And there still is a mechanism in the law, the state law, that says they can go higher based on the state budget director and also based on what the economic indices are at the time, which of course is very sensible. So for those reasons, I'm not supporting this legislation. And the fact of the matter is we have a process in place that treats our employees fairly, and it gives the legislature overview of whether that is taking place or not. That's why I do not support this. Thank you.
Mr. Grimm. Ms. Willingham.
Thank you. First of all, I did something I didn't realize that my mic was on. So I spoke out of turn. So I want to apologize for that, but only for speaking out of turn. But I will say this. I have listened to everyone's argument, and I have listened to everyone's definitions, and whether you feel someone's outlook is absurd or whatever you might want to call it, the one thing that we do realize here is that we are talking about the conditions that people live in. And I think that people will vote their conscience tonight. And I just thank everyone for the robust comments that were made tonight. And I do believe that we are ready to vote, Chairman.
Not quite.
Okay.
Ms. Lakakis, final word.
Thank you.
She's muted. Lynn, you're muted.
Now, can you hear me?
You've got you.
You know, I think in the end, we are all going to vote our principles, and I think that that's what we have to do. You know, the two things I did want to talk about, you know, is poverty and the fact that we, you know, so many of all the things that people said were true. You know, we are employers. As employers, we have a responsibility to our employees. I wish that we could increase the living wages of everybody in Albany County. I lived through it in the co-op. I know it can be done. I believe that we owe the people that are doing those difficult jobs a living wage, and I encourage you all to vote the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lakakis. Okay, on resolution 131 as amended, long roll call, please.
Baston,
In favor.
Brewski,
Yes.
Burdorf,
No.
Chapman,
Norma's muted.
Oh, yes.
Don't strain yourself, Norma.
Clegg,
Yes.
Clary,
Yes.
Camiso,
Yes.
Demolowitz,
Yes.
Drake, Efacoro,
Yes, big one.
Ethier,
Yes.
Feeney,
Yes.
Fine,
Yes.
Grimm,
No.
Andrew Joyce,
Yes.
Ray Joyce,
Yes.
Coon,
Yes.
Lakakis,
Yes.
Lockhart,
No.
Murriello,
No.
Mayo,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
McLean Lane,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
O'Brien, O'Brien,
Yes.
Purley,
No.
Peter,
Yes.
Plosky,
Absolutely, yes. Thank you.
Reedy,
Yes.
Reinhardt,
I'm with Vicky, an absolute yes.
Ricard,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Smith,
No.
Touche,
Yes.
Tunney,
No.
Ward,
Yes.
Whalen,
No.
Willingham,
Absolutely, yes.
I have 29 yes, 9 no.
You heard it from the clerk, folks. Living wage for Albany County passes 29-9.
Thank you. Thanks, women.
Madam Clerk, first item under current business, Resolution 132, please.
Authorizing a lease agreement for the rental of retail space at the Times Union Center, ASR Hospitality, Inc.
All those in favor?
Aye. Yes.
Opposed? Resolution 132 passes unanimous. Resolution 133, please.
Authorizing a lease agreement for the rental of retail space at the Times Union Center, Moss Kitchen Corporation, DBA Lamb's Kitchen.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 133 passes unanimous. Resolution 134, please.
Authorizing a lease agreement for the rental of retail space at the Times Union Center, Ballistic Shrimp LLC.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I for the name alone.
It sounds delicious, right? Opposed? Resolution 134 passes unanimous. Resolution 135, please.
Amending resolution number 487 for 2020 regarding professional architectural and engineering services for various Albany County projects.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Resolution 135 passes unanimous. Resolution 136, please.
Amending resolution number 233 for 2019 regarding engineering and construction consulting services for renovations at the Times Union Center.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 136 passes unanimous. Resolution 137, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Patterson Stevens regarding the Phase 2 Times Union Center parking garage mediation and repairs project.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 37 passes unanimous. Resolution 138, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Gorman Brothers regarding cold in place recycling projects for county roads located in the towns of Byrne, Knox, Rensselaerville, and New Scotland.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 138 passes unanimous. Resolution 139, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Tracy Road Equipment regarding the purchase of 3 Hyundai HL 940A wheel loaders.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Resolution 139 passes unanimous. Resolution 140, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Newcastle Paving for hauling and placing of asphalt concrete on various roads in Albany County.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I have to abstain on that, please.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Resolution 140 passes with one abstention, Mr. O'Brien. Resolution 141, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Tiger Corporation regarding the purchase of hydraulic boom.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 141, please. Passes unanimous. Resolution 142, please.
Authorizing an agreement with the Capital District Transportation Committee regarding professional transportation, engineering, and planning services.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 142 passes unanimous. Resolution 143, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Salient Corporation regarding annual maintenance and user licensing costs associated with Salient data mining software.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 143 passes unanimous. Resolution 144, please.
Authorizing agreements with the New York State Office of Children and Family Services for the Children's Advocacy Center and SIDS of Pennsylvania, CRIBS, for kids and amending the 2021 Department for Children, Youth, and Families budget.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 144 passes unanimous. Resolution 145, please.
Authorizing preschool education service agreements for children with special needs, ages 3 to 5.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 145 passes unanimous. Resolution 146, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Spotted Zebra Learning Center regarding individualized education programs for ages 3 to 5.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
May I please be added to that? This is Allison McLean Lane, I'm sorry. May I please be added to that?
Yes.
The special organization. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Opposed on 146? 146 passes unanimous. Resolution 147, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Schenectady County regarding the provision of preschool evaluation services.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 147 passes unanimous. Resolution 148, please.
Authorizing an agreement with New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance regarding the Emergency Rental Assistance Program.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 148 passes unanimous. Resolution 149, please.
Public hearing on proposed modifications to agricultural district numbers 1 and 3.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 149 passes unanimous. Resolution 150, please.
Authorizing an agreement with the New York State Office of Indigent Legal Services regarding the statewide expansion of the Hurl Herring Settlement.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 150 passes unanimous. Resolution 151, please.
Authorizing an agreement regarding excess insurance coverage and amending the 2021 Albany County budget.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 151 passes unanimous. Resolution 152, please.
Authorizing an agreement with the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services regarding the Gun-Involved Violence Elimination Grant.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 152 passes unanimous. Resolution 153, please.
Authorizing an agreement with the New York State Office for the Prevention of Domestic Violence regarding the Enough is Enough grant program.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 153 passes unanimous. Resolution 154, please.
Amending resolution number 399 for 2020 regarding the opioid response grant.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 154 passes unanimous. Resolution 155, please.
Authorizing the submission of a grant application to the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, Office of Interoperable and Emergency Communications regarding the Public Safety Answering Points Operations Grant Program.
Note my abstention on 155. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 155 passes unanimous with one abstention. Resolution 156, please.
Requesting the New York State Legislature enact legislation regarding the refinancing of municipal bonds for the Shaker Place Rehabilitation and Nursing Center.
Okay, folks, please note some language is updated and this is sent to your devices. All those in favor on 156?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 156 passes unanimous. Resolution 157, please.
Amending Resolution Number 472 for 2020 regarding the comprehensive opioid stimulant and substance abuse program and amending the 2021 Albany County budget.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 157 passes unanimous. Resolution 158, please.
Authorizing agreements with various lead partners regarding the comprehensive opioid stimulant and substance abuse program.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 158 passes unanimous. Resolution 159, please.
Rescinding the authorization to convey real property pursuant to Resolution Number 439 for 2020 and authorizing the conveyance of 19 Lexington Avenue located in the city of Albany.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 159 passes unanimous. Resolution 160, please.
Authorizing the conveyance of real property located at 226 North Allen Street in the city of Albany.
All those in favor?
Please note my abstention, please.
Is that Mr. Camiso?
Yes.
All those in favor on 160?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 160 passes with one abstention, Mr. Camiso. Resolution 161, please.
Conditionally authorizing the conveyance of real property located at 50 Railroad Avenue in the town of Colony and 54 Railroad Avenue in the town of Guilderland to store away warehousing at Guilderland.
All those in favor?
Mr. Chairman, please note my abstention. Commissioner again.
Got it. Opposed? Okay, Resolution 161 passes with one abstention. Mr. Camiso. Resolution 162, please.
Declaring a portion of 209 Church Street in the city of Albany no longer necessary for public use and authorizing the conveyance of said portion of the Albany Port District Commission.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 162 passes unanimous. Resolution 163, please.
Authorizing correction of the tax roll for the town of Bern.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Resolution 163 passes unanimous. Resolution 164, please.
Authorizing corrections of the tax rolls for the city of Albany.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 164 passes unanimous. Resolution 165, please.
Authorizing corrections to the tax roll for the city of Albany and Waterville in the towns of Bethlehem, Colony, Knox, and Green Island.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 165 passes unanimous. Stand by one moment, folks. Thank you, everyone. Resolution 168, please.
Requesting the county executive to enter into an agreement with the New York State Department of Transportation to maintain portions of Mohawk Hudson Bike Hike Trail.
Please send that to the Law Committee. Resolution 169, please.
Public hearing on proposed local law number F for 2021, a local law of the County of Albany, New York, amending local law number 1 for 2001, as amended, to provide that pesticide application signs made available at the point of sale be available in multiple languages as required by Environmental Conservation Law, Section 33-1005.
Please refer that to the Law Committees and the Conservation, Sustainability, and Green Initiatives Committees, please.
Bob, did you get the game? No?
Okay, 170, please.
Public hearing on local law number D for 2021, a local law of the County of Albany, New York, the Restaurant Protection Law in relation to third-party delivery services.
Okay, please refer that to the Law Committee. The local law F, please.
A local law of the County of Albany, New York, amending local law number 1 for 2001, as amended to provide that pesticide application signs made available at the point of sale be available in multiple languages as required by Environmental Conservation Law, Section 33-1005.
Okay, please refer that to the Law Committee and the Sustainability and Green Initiatives Committee, please. Before we adjourn, folks, Mr. Moriello, do we still have you? He's muted.
Yes.
Okay, I have resolution 167. Is it your intent to withdraw resolution 167?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. That's what we'll do. Okay, thank you, everyone. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Ricard, seconded by Mr. Reinhardt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good night, everyone. Thank you. Be safe.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.